Welcome to our executive interview series at FedTalks, presented by FedScoop. I'm Wyatt Cash, and we're here with Dana Barnes, Vice President, Public Sector at Forrester. Dana, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be here, Wyatt.
So my first question for you is, what are you seeing agencies prioritizing these days when it comes to advancing zero trust strategies and, efforts to combat the new level of cyber threats?
I think what we're really seeing is an effort to embed zero trust into everything that they do. If you look at, for example, the software development lifecycle, how do we embed zero trust into software development so that we can ensure that the software that's delivered is secure and only the right folks at the right time are touching the code, et cetera. And you're also seeing it as they consolidate information systems. You look at the Navy, for example. They're really trying to transform their business and get to a place where some of these legacy systems and environments are shut down. And as they do that, they're also trying to embed zero trust into what they're doing as they stand up kind of the new Navy enterprise, which is really exciting. That being said, one of the things that we worry about from a Forrester perspective is sometimes there's a tendency to look at the mission and to look at specific things and kind of zero in on those from a zero trust perspective. And you really want to make sure that you take a holistic view of the organization. So it's not a solution, it's an approach. And you have to have that approach that runs across the entire organization. I think it was 2009, Forrester actually came up with the concept of zero trust. We were the inventors, you could say, of the concept. And since that time, we've worked with a lot of agencies around how they do that, from the DoD, CISA, et cetera. And the one thing that we are learning is that the organizations that pause, not for a long time, because we want to move fast, but they pause for a second and look and create kind of a holistic approach. And they make sure that each subcomponent of their organization, because you think about the federal government, you got big organizations with different cost centers that sometimes go off and do their own thing. Each portion of the organization is actually executing along a core strategy where there's complete alignment. That's critical when you're talking about zero trust, and we've seen that as we've engaged with the government.
It's a great point. Next, given the administration's push to reduce the federal workforce, what do you see as the biggest opportunity and maybe the most significant concern facing agency IT departments?
I think the opportunity is quite large. When you think about the fact that you're reducing the workforce, what are you actually doing? You're asking a smaller group of people to do more work. That's really, because the workload never goes down in the government when they reduce the workforce. The expectations of the nation are still the same. Like, we want all the services, we want all the different things that we've become accustomed to. But it also forces the government to speed up its adoption of modern technologies and the use of artificial intelligence. So you've heard some briefings today here at FedTalks where we're talking about the adoption of AI to make the worker more effective, the government worker. And I think that you're going to see that continue. It's a great opportunity. However, the second part of your question is, the concern is the rate of adoption, right? We have an organization, we think about the federal government, both defense and on the civilian side, bogged down by policy and bureaucracy. And sometimes there's a risk aversion because of all of that, all of the paper and everything else. I was having a great conversation with one of the folks that's here from one of the government agencies, and they said, boy, it would be great if we could leverage some of these tools more quickly and learn as we go instead of making sure that everything is perfect before we deploy things, because that's slowing us down. And that's the biggest risk. And we see it from a Forrester perspective as well. To that point, you also have to have a workforce that's trained and educated in those areas. And it's one of the things that Forrester does very, very well, is we take those middle, I think the middle is the most important part. So, GS-15s, that middle layer of management, and making sure that they're trained and they understand not only the power of AI, but how they can effectively and safely implement it. And it's one of the things that we have been doing for quite some time in terms of AI education, training, and helping folks, leverage those technologies. So that's the fear part, the concern part from an IT perspective is, how do we go fast, safely, and how do we avoid kind of that inertia that we can hit sometimes with aversion to risk? managing risk is the most important thing here.
Well, Dana Barnes, thank you very much for joining us here at FedTalks and sharing your insights with us.
Oh, it's awesome. Once again, Wyatt, it's always good to be with you. You've always been good to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.